Paulette from Back to Basics Mom here. So today I'm going to try something a little bit different, and I want to show you how I create some shapes out of the shapes that are available on the Scan and Cut Canvas software. So first thing, usually when you get a Brother Scan and Cut, is you go to the Brother website and you register in there for their free software that they call Canvas. And they have lots of preloaded projects. You can create projects, you can save them in there, all kinds of stuff. So just so you know, I am recording this separately, the voice recording from the video recording, because for some reason when I did that, it didn't line up right. Also, if you hear any background noises, I apologize. My cats are running around crazy upstairs. So let's just see how this goes. Also, if my softener goes off or something, I'll pause it. But we're just going to get started here. I like to zoom in a little bit, just so I can see it a little bit better. And then we're gonna see some shapes, and all of our stuff's available over on the left hand side here. And you just click on that and it's gonna show our basic shapes. And I'm gonna start with a triangle, because basically what we're gonna do is get the basic shape we want of the triangle, and then we're gonna use 4 of them and stack them up, and we're gonna make a tree so I can make some more tree tags like you saw in my previous video. So I just like to get it where I can see it and it's comfortable for me. And you can see down on the left where it shows you the basic dimensions that it starts at. But I'm going to change that up. I did a few of these before I recorded. And you saw that I right-clicked, I went to Properties, and I'm going to change it down to the size I want. I want it to be 3 inches wide. And you can see here I messed up a little bit. I should have unclicked the aspect ratio right away, because when I go in and change the side angle, it's going to change everything up. So unchecked aspect ratio, I want my triangle to be 3 inches wide by 1.6 tall. And you can see I kind of got a squatty triangle there. So now we are just going to click. I want to zoom in. You just use that little button up at the top there to zoom in and out. If you like something between 100 and 50 like I do, you can put 75 in there. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a little curve. Instead of having a straight line on the side, we want to get a little curve. So we're going to do some node editing. So you just got to click on it, you got to click again, and you just got to click kind of slow until you see these little dots show up, just like that. Now this one has the bottom highlighted, and I want to do the side. So I'll just click on the top one until where I want to change is highlighted. So luckily a triangle doesn't have a lot of nodes. So now I got where I want to change highlighted, and instead of a straight line, I want a curved line. So I'm going to click over there in that box. And now it's got these extra 2 little nodes in there, and we're just going to drag those around until we get the shape we want. And you can see it's really simple. You can just pull them down, and you can use, if you have a mouse that works with your desktop or your laptop. I have a laptop and I use my touchpad quite a bit with this. A mouse is a little bit more helpful. But you see, you can make any kind of shape there you want. You can make it more of a Hershey Kiss kind of shape, or there's so much you can do. You can just kind of drag those all around and do some funky stuff. So I just want to put a little bit of an inward curve on this, just to make it look a little bit more like a tree shape to me in my mind. So I'm just dragging those down a little. Now, to get each side so it's the same, we're going to get rid of the right-hand side of this triangle. And to do that, we're just going to go grab any old shape. I like to do a square. And the basic one they give you is pretty large. I don't need it that big, so we'll shrink it down. I'm going to bring it over, and we're just going to overlap it over the area we want to cut off. And you can zoom in a little bit here and scroll and kind of see where your placement is, and just drag it around wherever. You can even zoom in a little bit more, and that looks about good to me. Now, when we're doing everything together, it helps to zoom back out. So I'm just going to drag a box. You just click and drag your mouse or whatever. So all of that's highlighted. You're going to go to Edit, and we're going to go to Subtract. And like magic, that half of the triangle disappears. Now, since I want to mirror this, we're going to highlight it. We're going to right click. Actually, you know what? I need to go to the Edit, and we're going to flip. Oh, no. We got to duplicate it before we flip. Get with the program, Paulette. Remember what I'm doing here. So you got to duplicate it before you flip it. So there we have our second one. And we're going to flip it so it's kind of a mirror image. And we're going to just overlap those center lines just a smidge. Don't worry about the lining it up at the top and the bottom right now. We're going to do that in just a second, and it's really easy. But right now I want to make sure those two lines are overlapped just a smidge. And now to align the top and bottom, we're just going to drag the box again. And we're going to go to Edit and line up via the bottom. There's all kinds of alignments over there. We're going to do the bottom align. And now that bottom line is lined up perfectly. And then we want to create all one shape, so we're going to group everything together again, and we're going to go to Weld, and it's going to make one solid shape. Now, sometimes when you do this, when you have a pointy part, you're going to get some funkiness at the point, so I'm going to show you how to get rid of that. Again, we're going to use the node edit, but I like to zoom in really, really far. So again, you just click on your design, and you kind of click again, and you have to do your clicking kind of slow, but you just click a few times and until you get all your little blue dots. Now, this has got a lot of them because the shape got kind of funky. Now, when you zoom in really close, you can see that we need to get rid of some of those. That's one of the ones we're going to get rid of. But I want you to also look at when things come to a point, you really only need 3. So we need that one, and that one. So the rest we want to get rid of. Now, just so you know, if we do anything wrong and the shape gets really funky, we can undo and start again. Like right there, you might go, oh no, that's not what I want. It's okay. We're just going to keep going, keep seeing what happens. And like magic, yay, it's the point that we want. Just a nice sharp point, no funkiness, it'll cut nicely. You won't have any little barbs on the end. It's pretty cool actually. So now we got to zoom back out. There's other ways to do it. This is the way I like to do it. So that is our basic shape. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make 4 of these, and they're each going to be a little bit smaller than the next. So right now, since I have my basic shape I want to work with, I want to save this just in case my computer hiccups or I get distracted or whatever. Now that I've done this work just for my shape that I'm going to use for the whole thing, I'm going to save it. So just give it a name in the box up there on the left. And then go to Projects. And then I like to do Save as another project. Project is saved. Good to go. Now we can move on. So no matter what happens, we have that basic one saved in our online Canvas account. So now we are going to duplicate. Again, I don't like the either 50 or 100. I like 75, so I just highlight it and I type in 75, and it gives me 75% of the screen, so that works for me. So I'm just going to, this is going to be my bottom part, so I like to move it to the bottom. And with that highlighted, we're going to right click, and we're going to go to Duplicate. Now I just like to, we're not going to worry about alignment right now, but I like to put it in sort of its position so I don't get lost. And now we're going to shrink it down a little bit. Now in my experiments, I started with changing it by just 1/4 of an inch, and that was not quite enough. So I'm doing it by 0.35, and I know that was supposed to be 3.0 inches, but when we overlapped and did our triangles and stuff, it changed. But I'm just going to leave it, and I'm going to make this 2.6 instead of 2.75 going down by 1/4 inch. I liked 2.65. You can do it however you want. In my testing, that's what I decided. So I'm going to make this 2.65. So every time I downsize it, I am going to subtract 0.35. There we go. And then make sure your aspect ratio is maintained on this one because we want to shrink it by the same dimensions, top and bottom and all the way around there. You can see it's just a smidge bit smaller. We're just going to put it right there for now. We'll line everything up at the end. We're going to duplicate that one. We're going to stack it kind of where it's going to be, and we're going to shrink it down in exactly the same way. Right click, properties, minus 0.35, so that'll make it 2.30. Again, I just kind of click off to the side to make sure that takes, make sure my aspect ratio is maintained. Good to go. Got our next one, and you can see again, it's a smidge bit smaller than the one before it. We're going to do that one more time. We're going to duplicate. I'm going to put it on top. Properties. And to minus the 0.35, that'll make this one 1.95. And you can watch that other number change, and that's because it's keeping the dimensions equal. So now I have 4 separate shapes. They're all the same amount smaller than the next. And now we are going to get them lined up so they're all the same distance apart horizontally. This is a little tricky. The grid on this canvas it's not exact measurements, and it's not real dark, so it is kind of hard to see. But what works for me, and this may not work for you, everybody's got something different that they do, but I kind of go by those little dots, and they're not really all of them a 1/4 inch apart. But how I start is I line up the bottom of my tree on one of the horizontal lines. And you don't have to line it up vertically if you don't want to. I end up doing that just because it's easier for me when I'm doing my spacing and just how my brain works. It works a little bit better for me to line that up. Sorry about zipping my mouse around so much. I don't know why I was doing that, but I just kind of use those little dots and I count the distance. And I'm going to do, see here, I got to the point I had to have it lined up at the center because it was bugging me. So just give me a minute to get situated and see. I'm going to line up that little blue dot on the bottom with that horizontal line because I couldn't take it. The OCD in me, I had to have it at least lined up somewhat. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to count 4 spaces. And then you see it better on this next one. Because I'm going to start lining it up at the bottom, and then I'm going to go halfway between the 2 dots. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll leave it there. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the next one. I'm going to line it up on the bottom. And then pull it up halfway between the 2 dots. 1, 2, 3, and then 4, which ends up being right on that line. I'm going to click off to the side so I don't move that around again. Zoom out so you can see everything. Now we're going to get everything highlighted, drag the box around it, and then we're going to align it center. So center align, that's bottom. We're going to go to center. So that makes sure everything is straight up and down, aligned on all those points. We're going to highlight it one more time, and we're going to weld this, and this is where the magic happens. But I'm going to move it out of the way so you can watch this a little bit. So again, I'm just going to drag the box and hit weld. Ta-da! We have our basic tree shape. It's pretty cool, actually. Now, I like a little softer look, so we're going to do an offset line outside, and I'm going to show you how that's going to give you a little softer look. And you can get a whole bunch of different looks really fast and easy. So go to Create Offset Line, and that was by right-clicking. You get that menu. We're going to leave this how it is. It needs to be outward. Create an offset line around outer edge. That doesn't really matter a whole lot for ours because it's not a real detailed image. We want to leave the original line because I want to use that too. The important part here is you want to make sure it's rounded, not bevel, because I really want that rounded edge because I'm trying to get a softer look. Click OK. Now you can see how that made a large outline, and now that is a whole separate shape. And that one is really cool, but I want one that is not quite so rounded, so I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to right click again, go to Create Offset Line, and up here is where you can change your spacing. And this one we're going to drag it down as small as it'll go. All those same things are in place. Hit OK, and you see that one just made a tiny little outline. and it's just got a little bit of roundness to it. So we're going to do this again a couple more times, and I'm going to show you some different measurements. This is where I like it. So this is the one I'm going to keep. That is going to be my final project because it's not quite as rounded, but it's got that little bit of softness, and that's how I really like it. Now you can save this again, which we will in a minute for all these. I'm just going to reorder them so they're how we started, and then our different offset sizes, so just so it makes a little bit more sense. So we'll have our original, our smallest offset line, the next one, and then the biggest one. Now when we go to cut this later on, we can cut all of these, or we can choose just one or two or whatever we want, but I'm just saving them all so I don't have to do any of that work again. And this is not going to be our final how to cut that. I'm going to show that in another video, but I just wanted to show you how we got our basic design, and then we're going to want to save this so you don't lose it. So we don't want to create new project. We go to project, and then we're going to go to overwrite because I want to keep the same name, but we don't need just that triangle shape anymore. So we're going to hit the overwrite, and that'll save as all new trees. Complete. Perfect. Now, so I can go to the next step and use my scan and cut. I'm going to download. I do not have the wireless transfer feature. In either way, we need to download it. So I'm just going to download it to my laptop. So you just click the big blue download button over there. And it gives you the two options. I only have the laptop option because I don't have the wireless function. I didn't spend extra on the card for that. But I'm just going to download it to my computer. You can see it right over there at the bottom that it has downloaded. It'll go to your download files unless you specify somewhere different, but mine always go to my download files, so make sure you name it well and check in there, because you will not be able to preview it on your computer because of the type of file name it is. So anyway, that is all I have today. Thank you so much for joining me. There's lots you can do with this machine. There's all these basic shapes over here that you can do so much with and use it to build other shapes. So I hope you had a good time. I hope you learned something. Find something crafty to do, and I'll see you later. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.